This is taking place in handcrafted world. Avoid procedure, or well, I wouldn't say like avoid procedural generation. I think procedural generation is a huge boon to game making. However, I think it's often executed rather poorly. But well, I've been playing a lot of Valheim lately, right? It's procedurally generated, and don't get me wrong, I really enjoy Valheim. It's an amazing game. But like the issue I have with it, it uses procedural generation and it generates these huge worlds, right? Which is amazing. And it offers, on one hand, you would say, a unique experience for every player. But the problem is, even though every world is unique, they all look the same. And that's because they're all populated with the same elements, right? You have like 4 or 5 biomes, but every biome in Valheim has one type of tree. So they all look the same, right? And they have maybe 2 or 3 kinds of monsters. So you end up fighting the same monsters over and over and over again. So procedural generation is amazing. But if you're gonna do it, and this is what I hope Valheim does, it doesn't need more biomes. It needs like more stuff in the biomes that already exist. Procedural generation is too often, I think, used to create gigantic worlds with nothing in them, right? So instead of creating like a biome that has 2 or 3 different kinds of monsters in it, and then so you have like 5 of those, right? So throughout the entire game you fight maybe 10 different monsters and you find 4 different kinds of trees. That's not variance, you know? It just feels like taking a very small thing and then copying it over and over and over again. What I'd like to see is like maybe fewer biomes or the same amount of biomes. But instead of them planning new biomes like they have announced, I would like to see them adding content to existing biomes. So instead of one type of tree, there's like 10 different kinds of trees and different kinds of bushes, maybe 10 different kinds of bushes to pick berries from, and like 20 different monsters to fight in every biome. You know, that like range the entire spectrum of monsters, if that makes sense. You have like the tiny little guys, and then maybe you find like a super rare one that's super strong. Something along those lines. Right? It would be like having a... It kind of feels like having a... like a Pokemon game, but it's procedurally generated, and you fight the same 3 Pokemon over and over again. Right? That's not fun. What makes Pokemon fun is that there's a bajillion of them, and you never know which one you're gonna run into. So you don't get a repetitive experience, and I think it's really difficult to use procedural generation in a way that it doesn't create a repetitive experience. Right? Okay, that's my procedural generation rant.